Good afternoon, future buffs. Thank you for tuning in today for the Instagram Live event for transfer students. My name is Jennifer Long, and I'm a transfer admission counselor here in the Office of Admissions at Cu-Boulder. So the way that this live chat is going to work today is we have several different departments and offices here on campus. We have the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, we have the Office of Admissions, New Student and Family Programs, on-campus housing, and off-campus housing and neighborhood relations here today. So we're going to start by answering some pre-submitted questions for each individual department. They'll introduce themselves, and then about the last 15 minutes, we'll have some questions live from you all that we will answer during this live chat. So we're going to start with the Office of Admissions and let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Hala Ferris and I work with international transfer students.
Hi, I'm Kim Diawara. I'm a Senior Assistant Director and I'm here in the Office of Admissions. I oversee transfer credit.
Wonderful. So we're going to start with the first question. Why do you need my final spring grades, and will I receive a decision before the end of the semester?
Great question. So sometimes the committee, when they're reviewing applications, they might be needing certain prerequisites they need to check in for. So we will ask for in-progress grades or your spring final grades. So what that means is that you just need to log onto your stats page, get your grades submitted to us. If they are the final spring grades, you have to wait until you have up until June 1st to get them to us, and you won't receive a decision until we get those. In-progress grades, normally we'd ask for them by March 15th.
Thank you so much. So the next question is going to be, are my credits going to transfer?
That's a great question. So the Office of Admissions uses an online tool called Transferology. You can access it through our webpage. You can go out and enter your coursework and then run it against our current transfer guides, and then it'll show you how the courses transfer in.
So talking about transcripts, where do I send my transcripts?
So the physical address is listed on our website, but definitely email them electronically to transcripts@colorado.edu.
Thank you so much.
Almost forgot.
How much longer will it take for me to finish my degree?
That kind of depends on each student. So it's dependent on the courses that you're transferring in, what your major is, what your academic aspirations are going to be. And what we can do is once we have your official transfer credit evaluation completed, we'll put you in touch with an academic advisor, and they'll be able to work with you on giving you an estimate of how long you'd have to be here.
Perfect. I applied to see you last year, but went somewhere else. Will my acceptance from last year impact my transfer decision?
We'll definitely take that into factor when we're looking at your application, but we will need the most updated transcripts to add to your file.
Thank you so much. So, how do you understand the transfer audit, and how do you determine how many classes you will have to take at Cu-Boulder?
So in the email that we send you once your transfer credit evaluation is completed, it gives you instructions on linking out to the Office of the Registrar, to the degree audit section, and it gives you step-by-steps on how to read your degree audit. If you still have questions, you can reach out to us at tchelp@colorado.edu, and we're more than happy to walk through it with you.
Is it possible to get an I-20 visa to study international affairs as a transfer student?
Yeah, so the I-20 and a visa are two separate things. You normally use your I-20 to get your visa. We definitely give an I-20 for international affairs at CU.
Thank you very much. How will I know what courses to register for if I am a transfer student who has not yet been accepted into the mechanical engineering program, but is planning to do an intra-university transfer?
So once we complete your transfer credit evaluation and we know how those courses are going to apply towards your degree requirements, we do have pre-transfer advisors here on our campus now that will be able to work with you on giving you an idea of what your typical first semester or first year might look like here at Cu-Boulder.
Thank you very much. So the next questions, a couple of them we have are going to be directed towards you, Hala. I applied as a transfer for the fall of 2019. On my application checklist, it says awaiting final spring grades. However, I won't be able to send my final spring grades until the semester is done in May. Does that mean I won't know my admission decision until May or June?
Yeah, as I said before, if we ask for spring final grades, you do have to wait until you receive those before we will give you a decision.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
And then if I'm studying in the University of Birmingham in the UK as a freshman, this university only has final exams in the May of each year. I am not sure whether my transcripts that I ordered to be directly sent to you all have any results. Thus, I worry I'm not qualified for a transfer.
So when the committee is reviewing applications, we do a holistic review. So we're going to be looking at your university work, and if you don't have enough of that, we'll look at your high school coursework. So it's really important to submit those with your university transcripts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Just a couple more, and then we'll finish up here with the Office of Admissions. Next question. I am not 100% sure about which semester I want to start. If I apply for the fall semester, can I later change to spring semester or reapply if I don't get accepted?
Yeah, we're definitely flexible about that. We can do a term change for you if you decide you want to do your application at a later time. But if you do apply and you receive a decision by then, and it's a denial, work with your admission counselor so then we can let you know exactly what you need to do to be admissible for the following year.
Thank you. Last question before we move on. When is a $200 deposit due for the fall semester, and can it be covered by financial aid?
So the deposit is due by June 1st. We recommend that you do it beforehand because then you're not able to register or start doing the online experience until you pay that. We can do a confirmation extension, which means that you won't have to pay it until you arrive on campus with your tuition.
Thank you so much. So for students have more questions and more information, who should they contact or where should they reach out for both transfer credit and for admissions?
Please email us for the admission questions at transfer@colorado.edu.
And for transfer credit, it would be tchelp@colorado.edu.
Perfect. So those are the initial questions that we received for the Office of Admissions. In the last 15 minutes, you can ask any additional ones that you have for the Office of Admissions. But now we're going to go over to the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. We'll let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get going with those questions.
Hi, my name is Angie, and I'm the Financial Aid Counselor here at Cu-Boulder.
And I'm Danielle, I'm a Scholarships Counselor here at Cu-Boulder.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So the first question that we have up for you all is, how do I start the financial aid application process?
Yeah, so you want to start with the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. We do recommend students to turn that in as soon as possible, even if you haven't been admitted to the university. Definitely add our school code, and then, like I said, as soon as possible, just because it is a first come, first served basis.
Thank you very much. So talking about applying for things, how do I apply for scholarships?
So there are a couple of things you can do to apply for scholarships. The first is upon your admissions application, you will be considered for some automatic consideration scholarships. But then there's an institutional aid application as well that you can complete, and it's the Cu-Boulder Scholarship application, and it will give you access to be considered for our institutional scholarships.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Where do I find more scholarship opportunities?
So beyond those, if you go to our website, which is colorado.edu/scholarships, we have a listing of private scholarship opportunities there and resources for you to kind of scroll through and see if you are eligible for or qualify for any additional ones outside the university.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So the next one we have is, when will I know what aid I qualify for?
So as soon as you turn in your FAFSA, as soon as you get your acceptance letter, we will contact you with any additional documents if needed. Turn those in as soon as possible. And then usually we will contact you with the finalized aid package. Of course, you do have to be admitted. You don't have to accept, but fully admitted, we can go ahead and just send you your finalized aid package.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So the next one we have up is, if I use aid at a previous institution, would it automatically be applied to cost at Cu-Boulder?
So no, if you are being given aid at a different institution, it does not automatically apply here. You would want to put our school code, which is 001370, on the FAFSA and submit it here to Cu-Boulder, so that we can look at your eligibility here for financial aid. And then if you are being given any sort of private scholarship, you would want to contact your donor to see if they can send it over here at Cu-Boulder instead.
Thank you. The next one we have is, when will my scholarships and financial aid be applied to my bill?
So assuming everything is good to go, you've reported your scholarships, you've turned in every verification document, we will go ahead and apply all financial aid the week prior before the first day of classes. And then usually if there are excess funds for off-campus levy, then that refund should be sent out to you the weekend before the first day of classes.
Wonderful. Thank you. So the next one that we have, actually we're going to stop real quick. Do you mind repeating that code one more time for the...
Yep, so it's 001370.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So the last question that we have then is, after how long will an out-of-state student qualify for in-state tuition, and how do we change that when registering for the next year?
Yeah, so that's a registrar's question. They specifically have a tuition classification department. Definitely recommend to speak to them.
Wonderful. Perfect. So we'll have those students go over to that registrar's office. Thank you so much for answering these questions. Where would you like students to reach out to if they have any additional questions?
So the email would be financialaid@colorado.edu. Our phone number is 303-492-5091.
And for scholarships, you can email scholarships@colorado.edu or call 303-492-4533.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you all being here. Next, we're going to move on to the on-campus housing and off-campus housing and neighborhood relations. We're going to let them introduce themselves and then go over the predetermined questions for those offices.
Hi everyone, I'm Bella Cotton. I work as the application administrator with on-campus housing.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Moore. I'm the Assistant Director for Off-Campus Housing and Neighborhood Relations here at CU.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy you're here today. So the first question we have from the students is, what are the housing options for transfer students?
So transfer students have a ton of housing options, both on campus and off campus. They're eligible to live in the residence halls, Bear Creek apartments, graduate and family housing, and of course off campus and neighborhood relations.
Yeah, and at CU we have about 24,000 students in any given year that live off campus. So a lot of our transfer students do choose to live off campus. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in some of the later questions.
Thank you so much. Lots of opportunities. So the next question we have is, how do I find a place to live in Boulder?
That's a great question. So like we kind of covered in the first question, there are tons of options for transfer students. If you're interested in living on campus, go ahead and contact our office. It's occupancy management or Bear Creek Apartments. We have a lot of different options on campus for transfer students, including 24 different residence halls, and Bear Creek has 2 apartment buildings where transfer students are eligible to live.
And we have a lot of resources in my office, Off-Campus Housing and Neighborhood Relations, and I'm going to talk about some of those in more detail in some of our later questions, but essentially we have a rental database called Ralphie's List. We've got housing fairs that we also offer every year too. So the important thing to note is that our office actually doesn't maintain any housing directly. We serve kind of as a liaison with off-campus properties, and so students can come to us and we're kind of like a clearinghouse, so to speak, for students to find off-campus housing opportunities.
So this is from a student. Where are some of the best places for transfer students who are particularly sophomores to live on campus?
It's a good question. It differs from student to student, which I know is tough to hear, but it really depends what you're looking for. So in the residence halls, about 85 to 90% of the residence halls are for first-year freshman students, because we do have a live-on requirement for those students. So with that being said, about 10 to 15% of the rooms are taken up by transfer students and upper class students as well. If you're looking for a little bit more of a transfer and upper class community, Bear Creek Apartments are a great place to look. They're actually only eligible for those classifications, so first year freshmen are not eligible to live in those apartments.
Thank you very much. The next one we have on here, if I were to live in an apartment on campus, would my significant other be able to live with me even if they are not attending the school?
So unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to live in Bear Creek Apartments or in the residence halls if your significant other is not attending the university. All residents have to be current students at the university to live on. You can contact Graduate and Family Housing. They may have opportunity for you to live in an apartment in their facilities.
Gotcha, thank you. So if I'm wanting to live with my significant other that is not attending CU Boulder as my only option off-campus housing, and I think you answered that one pretty similarly.
Again, I would reach out to Graduate and Family Housing. They do have different opportunities. You do have to qualify under the committed couple requirement that they have, but you can always contact their office to learn a little bit more about how that works.
And I would sprinkle in something real quick too for those maybe looking to live off campus. The City of Boulder does have an occupancy ordinance, so only 3 or 4 unrelated people can live together, and that's based on family relationships. So for most students, if they were living with a partner or children, that probably wouldn't be a restriction, but just something I want to make sure folks know about if they're looking for housing off campus.
That's a really great piece of information to know too. Thank you. So the next one that we have is, if I live in an apartment on campus, could the cost be covered by financial aid, or will I need to pay a monthly rent?
So I'll split that up a little bit. The rent for, I guess the cost of board for living on campus at both Bear Creek Apartments and the residence halls is actually billed by semester. So you can certainly reach out to financial aid and the bursar's office. The bursar's office can help you with a payment plan, and financial aid can kind of help you with any information that you may need regarding the financial aid that you currently have, because it can go toward housing, but it depends on what that package looks like.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Next one we have is, what are the best areas for off-campus housing?
It's a great question. I get that question all the time. And again, to echo Bella's point about on-campus housing, it really is going to depend on the students and what they're looking for. A lot of our students do choose to live just on the periphery of campus and have a close walking, I always like to say walking, bus, longboard. I've seen scooters on campus, all sorts of things. So there's a lot of different options, but there's 3 or 4 primary neighborhood areas that students might choose to live in, including the East Aurora neighborhood area, Martin Acres, North Boulder, and the Hill. So those are a lot of the ones that most of our students do choose to live in. I want to note, though, that none of those are student only. Some of them, our students here at CU might think that they're only students, but all of those have permanent residents that are not students living in them. We also have a lot of students living outside of Boulder and commuting in each day. And so using that bus pass that students get with their student fees that's included is really important, and that's called the College Pass. And so they can, students can use that to go anywhere within the city of Boulder. They can also use that to go to the airport as well if you're going somewhere for spring break. That's going to be coming up in a little bit here this semester. So I always like to make sure folks know about that and leverage that if they're looking for housing outside of Boulder.
The next one we have is, how exactly does Ralphie's List work?
Yes, Ralphie's List is a great resource for students, and it's free. There's no cost to use it. It's hosted by our office, and the website address for Ralphie's List is Ralphie's List, all one word, and there's an S in the middle of that, so ralphieslist.colorado.edu. And students can log in there to access the database with their CU-provided identity and password. Now, I know sometimes when students are applying for admission to CU Boulder, they might be waiting for their CU identity credentials, and so on the database, you can actually request a guest account. And we do go through each of those in our office just to make sure that the system is closed to only CU community members, because you can also post for roommates in there. You can also post if you have a sublet opportunity later down the line. But basically, it's kind of like an apartment search service. So you can search by price, location, those different neighborhood areas I talked about earlier. You can actually use the map feature to actually search for housing just in those areas. So it's a really great amenity. And for those of you who might be looking for other transfer roommates, you can also go in there and specify that you're looking for a roommate as well. One piece of advice I might give those of you who are looking for housing is sometimes it's easier to start with the roommate tab and actually say, I'm looking for someone who already has housing but is looking for a roommate, because in some cases you might be able to slide into a property that's already full for next year but still has someone who's looking for a space to fill within their own apartment. So that would be something that I would encourage you all to look at. And there's also some downloadable resources on there through Ralphie's List as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. There's a lot of helpful information for our students. Can I get a meal plan if I live off campus but rent an apartment through Ralphie's List?
Yes, so our food on campus is fantastic. I hope some of you might get the opportunity to taste some of it at some point if you join us here at CU. And we have a lot of different dining hall options, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, I think there's like 8 or 9 different dining halls
There's a lot of different facilities
on campus. And so we have a block meal plan option here provided through Housing and Dining Services, Campus Dining Services. And so students, even if they live off campus, they can actually purchase a block meal plan. And particularly for transfer students, I work a lot with transfer students. I think that this is a great option because it's a great place also to build community. So it's not just about feeding your stomach, but also feeding your sense for community. And our dining facilities also are all you care to eat, which can be tempting sometimes. There's a lot of different options in there. I always like to start with dessert and work backwards because the dessert's usually pretty good. But there's some great places if you just need somewhere to kind of chill during the day. There's wonderful study spots, kind of places you can nest in those dining halls as well. So I always encourage transfer students I'm talking to maybe consider investing in a block meal plan. The thing to keep a note of is, though, it is use it or lose it for the end of before the end of the semester. So if you purchase one, maybe start at a lower plan and see if you're going to use that within that semester, and then maybe the next semester you could purchase a higher plan if you needed that. Yeah. And the information for the dining plan is on the campus dining website, which is housing.colorado.edu on the dining tab. And you can find all the information there for the meal plan.
That's so helpful. Thank you very much. So the next one we have is, what are some ways to get involved on campus?
Oh boy, so there's a lot of ways to get involved on campus. We have hundreds and hundreds of different student organizations here at Cu-Boulder, and I think that that's one of the great things about such a large institution, is there's literally something for everyone. And I don't quite know that we have an underwater basket weaving club, but we may. I don't know. There could be one. There's something for everyone though. So, and if you don't find something, you can always create a club here at CU or an organization as well. So the first main resource that I would recommend is a different office here on campus called CSI, or the Center for Student Involvement. And on their website, they have a great resource called Buff Connect, and students can go on there and they can actually search for different student organizations and opportunities. We also have a lot of events at the beginning and the middle of the year where students can kind of do checkout options, kind of a table style events. We have some different kind of events that happen at the beginning and the middle of the year. So that would be one thing that I would definitely encourage students to check out, would be CSI. The second one is one actually that a lot of our transfer students choose to partake in, which is the Non-Traditional Student Organization, or NTSO. And the website for that is colorado.edu/student-groups/NTSO. I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but that would be a group that I would encourage folks to look at, because we've got transfer students, graduate students, students with dependents that are part of that group, and so they offer different things like tailgate style events during homecoming, different kind of like chili pot events. They do meetings occasionally throughout the year, so it's a great way to connect with other transfer students here on campus.
Thank you. I've decided to go back to school after serving in the military. Is there a veterans community at CU Boulder?
Yeah, so this is actually a tip that was shared by one of my previous students who was a transfer student and a student veteran, and so I wanted to make sure I shared this with you all today. We've got some great student veteran resources here on campus. Our student veterans office is definitely a resource I would encourage everyone to check out. They've got some great social and academic connection opportunities, but specifically the Student Veterans Association, or SVA, is a resource that I would recommend folks looking at, and they have a Facebook group. So if you just look up CU Boulder SVA, you can find that group on there. But also colorado.edu/veterans is going to have kind of the landing page with all of their resources. And so one of the things that my students shared with me in the past is that they've provided tickets or discounted tickets for different events or like football games to bring some connection with those students here on our campus. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I would definitely encourage you connecting with their staff. They've got a beautiful office space too here on campus, and it's a great way to get connected.
Thank you. So it looks like I have about 2 more for you, Jeremy, and then I got a couple for you as well. So the next one I have is, and I think this is one that's pretty important, what is the housing fair?
Yes, so another primary resource that we have, I organize 3 housing fairs in collaboration with our office every year, and usually those are going to occur October, December, and January. The dates sometimes change from year to year, so I would keep eyes out once you get to campus, but those are a great opportunity to really one-stop shop different housing options. We have different property managers with tables, and students can kind of go around and get information, compare pricing and things like that. And each of them kind of has a little bit of a different theme. We offer free pizza at each of those events, and we have a hot chocolate bar for the one in December, so that's always a popular thing. But the most important thing is this is a great opportunity for students to ask questions real time of landlords and kind of get some information. So if you're looking for something like an in-unit or in-building fitness center, that's something that you could ask there. Although I will say our rec center on campus is fantastic. So hopefully you get a chance to use that. We have a rock climbing wall and things there. But if sometimes students don't want to have to come from the other side of town and they want a fitness center, for example, in their property, or a pool. So that's something that you could ask the property manager during the housing fair. And it's a really kind of fun, low-risk way to get a lot of information there on the spot.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last one I have for you for just a little bit
Yeah.
is, how is the public transportation system in Boulder?
That's a great question, and I already mentioned, I teased the RTD system, or the Regional Transit District system, earlier, and that is not only here in Boulder, that actually goes down to Denver as well, and you can use your pass while you're a student here at CU for no additional charge. You can use that on any of the light rails or any of the bus systems, and I actually commute myself every day from Broomfield, which is kind of, if you think of Boulder being here and Denver being here, it's kind of in the middle, and so I take that every day, and I really enjoy that time. Now granted, I'm a staff member, but a lot of my students I talk to really also enjoy having that opportunity to listen to music, Netflix, read a book, do a Sudoku puzzle, whatever it might be, talk to a neighbor on the bus. So it's a great time. And also sometimes the weather here in Colorado can be unpredictable. So those days that I don't have to drive when the weather is not so great, I always appreciate that. And I appreciate the bus drivers for that. But yeah, you can also use that to go to the airport. And there's also a couple buses that even go up to Fort Collins. So that is something that you just use your card, you tap it on a pad when you get on the bus, and you're on your way. And the bus, the RTD has a really great app that you can use called the Transit app. And it basically pulls in all of the different data points for all of the different routes. And you can just show up to a stop. It'll tell you how to get there with walking directions, and you can just jump on the bus and be on your way. So it's a great way also, again, to leverage your housing. So if you're looking for housing outside of Boulder, but you don't have to buy a parking permit or don't have to worry about traffic and just be able to relax, you can use the bus. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I actually have used that myself, and it's really convenient.
It's a great thing. Yep.
So we have a couple questions for you now, Bella. I'm a single mom with 3 kids debating living on campus with family housing. Is there a way to tour family housing?
There is, yes. So you can obviously reach out to Graduate and Family Housing Office yourself. They do tours. There are not specific tour rooms within Graduate and Family Housing, so they actually use units that are available at that time. So it may be kind of different from month to month, even week to week. That's why I would suggest reaching out to them, but they do the tours before 2 p.m. on weekdays. So definitely reach out to their office.
Wonderful, thank you. Am I eligible to reside in the residence halls as a transfer student?
Yes, you are. So like I mentioned earlier, we have 24 different residence halls on campus, and actually this upcoming year, for academic year 1920, we have a new hall going online. So Williams Village East is a brand new residence hall. You could actually be one of the first students to live in it. It is absolutely beautiful. It will be home to about 700 students, and it's in our Williams Village community, which is an amazing community. There's a strong sense of community in that area, in that neighborhood. They actually have their own dining center. They have their own rec center. They're neighbors with Bear Creek Apartments, so if you are a transfer student, whether you're a freshman transfer or an upper class transfer, there's a little bit of both in that neighborhood, so it's an awesome and very exciting thing for our office for this upcoming year. But we do have, other options as well. So we'll go over room types, I think, a little bit later probably. But on campus is definitely an option for you, and it's a great way to get connected to the university and kind of find a little sense of home. So.
And I would add, too, in Williams Village and also in other places on campus, we have a buff bus system. So that connects students basically from their front door of their residence hall. They can jump on the bus, and it'll connect them to the academic corridor of campus. And those buses are GPS enabled. So when the weather's bad, you can just look up on the map and see where the bus is coming, so you don't have to wait out in the rain or the snow or whatever it might be, which is really great. They didn't have that when I went to school. So I think that that's amazing opportunity, and also helps with just getting around campus in general.
Thank you. Yeah, that is extremely helpful. So, similar to what you just mentioned, what room types are available for transfer students?
Yes. So the residence halls have quite a few different room types. I would definitely suggest going online if you're interested in living in the residence halls and looking at our website, because we have pictures of all of the different room types on campus, so you can kind of get a feel for what they are. But as a transfer student, you're eligible for any room type on campus. That includes apartment style living. So a lot of transfer students really enjoy that. They like to kind of have a little bit more of their own space, a kitchen possibly to cook in. And as far as Bear Creek goes, all of the apartment styles are open and available for transfer students. As the year continues to go on, it's nice to know that both of our offices do assign students on a first-come, first-assigned basis. So if you do have a specific room type in mind that you're really, really interested in living in, I would definitely urge you to apply on the earlier end, or just as soon as you make up your mind on that, because the earlier you apply, the more of a chance that you'll get one of your preferences.
It's extremely helpful information to know as well. So what is the deadline to apply for the residence hall living?
Yes. So there actually is not a deadline to apply. We will keep our application open pretty much until the first day of classes and actually beyond. But like I said, we do have a priority housing system in place, so the earlier you apply, the more of a chance that you'll get one of your preferences that you listed in your application. So definitely urge you to apply earlier, but if you're not making up your mind until the summer, it's not too big of an issue. You can always contact our office as well to make sure that you're still eligible to apply and to kind of see what we have available still.
Wonderful. As a side note to that, because it's more important to apply earlier, right?
Yes.
Our application deadline, the early notification is March 15th, so that is coming up here soon. So if you're able to get your early notification, application in, you're going to be able to complete that application even sooner.
Yes.
So,
Always a good idea.
definitely. So the two more questions that we have, and then we're going to wrap up with the housing section. Can I live with other transfer students?
Yes, you can. So both Bear Creek and the on-campus housing in the residence halls try to pair transfer students up with other transfer students. So whereas you can't necessarily request a roommate that you have in mind in the residence halls, we'll definitely try to assign you on the back end with another transfer student. We also have a roommate selection process in the residence halls, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to meet and chat with other students that are assigned to the same hall as yourself come late June, early July, and you can actually request your own roommate through that process. So it's a great way to get to know students who are living in your hall and also to kind of have a say in who your roommate may be for the upcoming year.
Definitely.
And just another quick reminder, we do have that roommate tab on Ralphie's list as well. So you can search by class year when you're searching on there. So a lot of times transfer students will search for other transfer students on there. And usually the roommate profiles will have a picture and interests and things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would check out the roommates tab.
And like I mentioned before, a lot of transfer students are really interested in that apartment style room type on campus. So if you are eager to find another transfer roommate, I would definitely recommend putting that apartment style down as one of your preferences because there may be a larger pool of transfer students for you to select.
Wonderful, thank you. So the last question we have for you all at the moment, am I required to have a meal plan if I live in the residence halls?
Yeah, this is a great question because it's changing for the upcoming year. So in the residence halls, you are required to carry a meal plan for the academic year 1920. In the Bear Creek apartments, you are not required, but you are eligible to carry one if you'd like to. So Jeremy spoke about the block meal plan option before. You're eligible to have those if you're in any apartment style housing on campus, so whether that's the residence halls or Bear Creek. And if you're in any other room type in the residence halls, you're required to carry a weekly meal plan, which essentially gives you an allotted number of meals per week that you can use to swipe into the dining facilities.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So if students have more questions, where would you like them to reach out to for further?
Yeah, definitely. So if you're inquiring about on-campus housing, again, my name is Bella. You can email studenthousing@colorado.edu, and our phone number is 303-492-6673. And those phone lines are on from Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time until 4:30 p.m.
And again, my name is Jeremy Moore, and I work in off-campus housing and neighborhood relations, and you can contact us at 303-492-7053, and our website address is och.colorado.edu. That stands for off-campus housing. And then also our email address is just och@colorado.edu as well. And we are also open during business hours, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you all being here. So next we're going to talk to new student and family programs, as well as our student employee here who's a current CU student, and then we'll let them introduce themselves real quick.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Strackman, and I am a program coordinator in the new student and family programs office.
Hi guys, my name's Abby. I'm a senior here at CU. I transferred here when I was a sophomore, and now I work for the transfer admissions office. I'm also, my major is in business with an emphasis in finance and accounting, and I'm also involved in Greek life.
Thank you so much for both of you for being here today. So we're going to start with a question for new student and family programs. How do I know who my advisor is, and will they help me figure out what classes I need to take?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you'll actually get contacted by your advisor in mid-May. You'll get an email stating who they are, and that will be to your @colorado.edu email that you'll be receiving that information. So make sure you're checking there. If you feel like you're not getting any communication, that's where it's going. They'll reach out to introduce themselves. You'll also see that assigned in My CU Info, which is kind of the main hub that you'll be using here at CU. So that information will be listed along with a way to be able to schedule an appointment with them over the summer. So you can connect with your advisor either over the phone or via video chat to kind of chat with them about what classes you might be interested in taking, degree options for yourself, and they'll make sure that you're all set with your plan when you start enrolling in classes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. The next one we have, and some of these are probably pretty similar, is how will I know what courses to register for if I'm a transfer student who has not yet been accepted into the mechanical engineering program? Oh, I think we just answered this one, didn't we? Never mind. We're going to skip that one then because we had that answered earlier by Kim. So if you want that answer, go back to the earlier portion of the live chat. We'll get that for you. So the next one, we'll skip that one. How do I know who my advisor is, and will they help me figure out which classes I need to take?
Yeah, so you'll get your advisor assigned to you kind of during mid-May, get that emailed to you, and then they'll appear in my CU Hub. Or my CU Info, and that's the hub that you'll be using, kind of where everything's located for a lot of different information while you're here at CU. And you'll have the opportunity to schedule an appointment with them either over the phone or through video chat during the summer. That way you can connect and kind of run through if you're interested in certain classes. They can also give you ideas, talk about different requirements for gen ed requirements, your major, maybe electives that you're interested in as well.
Perfect. So when is CU's orientation, or how does the orientation work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So CU is a little bit unique in our orientation process. We actually don't have an in-person orientation held during the summer like a lot of the other schools. We have a two-part. So the first part is something called the online experience, which is an online orientation. You'll have access to that starting May 7th, and that's just a lot of online modules that will walk you through how to register for classes, a lot of the different resources at CU, and it's something that's really great to reference back if you have questions later on. So instead of coming in person and kind of getting information overload for one day, you have it all right there in a module to reference back at any time. So you'll complete that, and once that's completed, then you'll schedule your appointment with your advisor, register for classes, and get that completed before you come here in the fall for kind of like, we call it our second part of orientation, also known as Fall Welcome. So when you get here right before classes start, we have lots of fun programming to help you meet other students, really build your community here in Boulder, and get connected to the university. We do offer a specific transfer orientation, which will be held Wednesday, August 21st this year, and you'll be contacted with information about how to register for that and enroll. That's a really great opportunity to meet other transfer students, hear presentations tailored to your needs as a transfer student, and start building that community here right away during Fall Welcome. You're also welcome to participate in any other Fall Welcome activities such as Black and Gold Bash, Connect at the Rec, which are fun welcome week type events where you meet lots of other students, lots of free food, amusement park type things with Black and Gold Bash, as well as Connect at the Rec. And we also have a concert on Saturday night. So it's a cool way to help get you excited right before classes start.
Sounds like a fun way to get excited for classes. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to have some more student perspective questions for you, Abby. How difficult is it to start a club on campus?
Not difficult at all. I'm pretty sure all you have to do is fill out some paperwork. Like Jeremy mentioned earlier, there's literally a club for anything on campus. So anything you're interested in, if we don't already have it, you're totally welcome to start it.
Thank you. And so then we have about one more question that is pre-assigned for you, Abby, and then we'll get on to the next section. How do I apply for jobs on campus, and what kind of jobs are there?
Sure. So when you get into My CU Info, there's a ton of different tabs and places you can go to get information. On the right-hand side of My CU Info, there's like a job and internship search there, and you can look for either off-campus or on-campus. And so when you click on the on-campus, you can look for like research jobs with professors. That's how I found this job with the admissions office. The admissions office is always looking for people. Every department pretty much has openings for students. And you can also narrow that down to whether you need like a, what's it from financial aid? Work study. Yeah, so you can sort of narrow those down that way.
Thank you. So So that is the end of the section of our pre-submitted questions from students that submitted questions earlier on. And now we've written down some of our live questions that you all are submitting right now. So we have about 2 lists that we're going to go through real quick with those live questions. If you have additional live questions, please feel free to submit them. If we get to the opportunity where we can't answer all of them or we think we've missed them, please feel free. You can either re-ask the question or you can always shoot one of us an email as well and we can answer those questions too. So the first question that we have that has been submitted is for you, Bella. How do you apply for housing as a transfer student, and does the housing fill up quickly? And it's probably going to be a similar answer to something that you've already said.
Yeah. So how to apply for housing, the first and most important thing is that you have to be confirmed, you have to confirm your intent to enroll at the university before you can actually apply to live on campus. So that includes paying the $200 fee with admissions, and you also have to create and activate your identity. So your identity is essentially like your username and password that gets you into a few different portals on campus, including the housing portal. So once you have that activated and you've confirmed your intent to enroll, you can then apply for housing. You will also then receive an email from our office with step-by-step instructions of how to get to the housing application. It's really pretty simple, but we'll send you that email so you have that for your knowledge.
And I would also add real quick that since a lot of the transfer students that do come to Cu-Boulder do live off campus, a lot of times I think that that's a big concern for students, that there isn't going to be housing available for them in the general area. And I just want to let everyone know that the city of Boulder generally from year to year is about 52% rental. So that means that generally any time of the year, whether it's summer, fall, spring, whatever time of the year it is, there's going to be housing available. It's just finding something that's going to be the good fit for you, both on location and price and amenities. So that's where we can come in to help out if on-campus housing isn't something that you're looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So the next question that we just received is going to be more for a student perspective. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Abby. Why should a prospective student choose CU over CSU?
So because CU is great, let's go Buffs. But there's a couple different reasons. I think CU and CSU offer different programs, so it really depends on what you want to study first and foremost. And then also Fort Collins and Boulder are super different towns. So they sort of depending on what you're looking for in your environment and what you socially sort of like want from your life outside of school, those are some considerations I would sort of
Think about?
Yeah, think about.
So the next one I have for you as well.
Okay.
So does CU have a baseball program?
So we have a club team that's pretty competitive, but not directly like through the school athletic program.
Perfect. Thank you. So the next one that we have is going to be for you, Hala. If I have a 3.5 GPA with D grades, specifically in Algebra 2, what are the chances of the business school?
So that's a very specific question. Your chances are still really good because the lead school of business has specific prerequisites you have to meet, and Algebra 2 is not one of them. But we do need calculus, so make sure you do really well in that one. But then, yeah, we would do a holistic review and look at your whole application.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and if you have questions over the application, you can submit transfer@colorado.edu, shoot us an email, or you may have your own admissions counselor. So feel free to shoot them an email as well, and they can help you to determine what the best path for admission is for you. So the next question that we have is going to be for you, Bella. When will we find out who our roommates are?
So this question actually depends when you apply for housing. We have a timeline for the housing application process. It's available on our website, which is living.colorado.edu. And you can go into the application process tab and you'll see the timeline of what different outcomes you'll receive and by when, as well as what processes are available to you throughout the application process, depending on when you apply for housing. So unfortunately, I can't really answer that with a concrete answer. You will definitely know by mid-July for actually pretty much anybody who has applied by that point who your roommate is, but there's a chance that you'll find out earlier. Just take a look at that timeline online.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So this next question is going to be for you, Hala. How long does it take to hear back from admissions?
So once we receive a complete application with all the requirements, you should find out 4 to 6 weeks after we receive that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So the next question we had was how do we apply for housing, but I think we've covered that one. Do you want to briefly summarize it again, or do you feel comfortable?
Where students live? I'm sorry.
How do we apply for housing?
How do you apply? Yes, I think we answered it. If you have questions on how to apply for housing or the process actually at all, go ahead and give our office a call, or you can shoot us an email. Again, it's studenthousing@colorado.edu.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we were going back and forth a little bit between the two of you. We're going to go to a new one. Rachel, when can we enroll in classes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said, you'll get contacted by your advisor in mid-May. But the enrollment time period for transfer students is going to be between July 8th and July 22nd. So like I referenced, you'll kind of work through that online experience orientation to get set on how specifically you're going to register for classes. It'll show you on there. It's kind of like shopping, so you'll put classes into your cart and save them for later, and then once you're in that enrollment window, you'll be able to click enroll into classes, and that will solidify your schedule. You'll get locked out for about a month after that enrollment time closes, so other people can finish scheduling their classes, but then enrollment will open again right before classes start. In case you change your mind, you want to switch something up, you'll have the opportunity to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, Hala, we're going to go back to you again another time. So, when will I hear back if I've been admitted as a transfer for fall 2019?
So again, if you complete the application, 4 to 6 weeks, we definitely have the early notification deadline, which is March 15th. So if you're anxious and you want to find out sooner, definitely apply by then, and we need all your materials too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So now we're going to head over to financial aid. If I got an email from financial aid to claim my CU ID, does that mean I got accepted?
It does not. If you receive any email from us before you hear from admissions, it's only to get a step ahead from your financial aid process. Otherwise, admissions is the one that sends over the decision. We don't say anything until further notice.
Wonderful. So along those lines, make sure to check your application status page constantly, because if we do need additional information on the admission side, that's going to be where we let you know. So that application status page and, of course, your email as well are going to be the two most important places that you're checking during this time frame that you're submitting your application. So, Hala, another one. So, will Viola Davis be at Admitted Student Day on April 6th?
I wish. No. No. I doubt it. But that is normally geared towards prospectives or like freshmen domestic. But if you're looking to have a more experience for transfers, we have an Admitted Student Day, April 26th for that one.
Definitely. And so for that day as well, if you are a prospective student, please feel free to come as well. It's welcome for both prospective and admitted students, specifically geared towards transfer students though. So it's really helpful as a transfer student to be able to attend that event versus the Admitted Student Day on April 6th, which is geared more towards traditional first-year students. If you are interested in wanting to come to that day, you definitely can. It's just some of the information may not be as pertinent towards you as a transfer student. So the next one we have, I think, again, is going to be for you, Rachel. I got accepted as a transfer student. What do I do in the meantime?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to do in the meantime until May hits, when you get access to the online experience and you get contacted by your advisor. So I know waiting can be kind of hard, but just hang out in the meantime and make sure that you start checking your Colorado email in May for next steps.
Wonderful.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
If you are international, you can start working on your immigration documents or proof of English proficiency, because you won't be able to confirm or do any of the next steps until we have that.
Definitely helpful information to know. So, Abby, we're going to go back to you for a couple more questions.
Okay.
What are some things that I should look forward to?
Lots of things. CU's awesome. So particularly in the fall, football games are really big. So definitely look forward to that. Watching Ralphie run is a big thing at the football games. So that's really fun. I love Boulder. So looking at the Flatirons every day, meeting new people, that sort of thing.
Lots of opportunities.
Lots of
right?
opportunities.
So we have one more for you.
Okay.
So if you transfer, and is it still possible to enter Greek life no matter what year you are?
Yes. So I rushed as a sophomore when I transferred here, and I'm now in a house, which is awesome. And I actually have a friend who just transferred as a junior, and she just joined a house. There's no timeline really for joining Greek life. Anyone can do it at any time. If you're already in a house at the school you are at and you want to transfer into the same house, all you have to do is just reach out to them, and they'll give you all the information about what they need for you to do that. And then I have a follow-up question from someone that was asking what it's like. Being in Greek life is really fun because it creates sort of a community away from school that is really similar to has similar values that you have, and it can be like a separate community where you can ask like a lot of personal questions or like get to know someone really closely, something like that. We also do lots of social events and also partake in philanthropic events, so we donate money to a charity. Every sorority has their own charity that they donate to, and we put on events for those too.
So wonderful. Thank you very much. So I think this was answered a little bit earlier through our financial aid office, but Hala, can you touch as well on how students or who students should contact about getting residency?
So that would be a great question for the registrar's office. They have very specific guidelines for that, so I'm not even going to try to answer that, but definitely reach out to the registrar's office.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we're going to bounce now over to Jeremy. We're going to swing around all the way over here. So where do most transfer students live, on or off campus?
Yeah, so I teased that a little bit earlier. So the majority of our transfer students are going to live off campus. But the one thing that I do want to say, because I used to actually run one of the housing facilities here on campus, and so obviously I think that that's a great option as well. So those of you who do choose to live on campus or have the option to live on campus, something to think about when you're looking at the two different options. When you live on campus, some things are going to be included in basically what you would essentially call rent if you were paying that off campus. So things like your cable or your internet are going to be included, whereas if you live off campus, you need to think about those in your financial equation. So if you want HBO or you want Netflix or whatever it is, you need to add that into your monthly expenses. And so that's, I think, a big sales advantage for living on campus is those things are included, like your trash and recycling. You might have to pay extra for those things if you live off campus, and certainly your utilities, so your power and things, water, you're going to have to pay for those separately. So that's something to think about when you're comparing the two options. And it is really, I think, a unique choice, and it's something that you have to think about. But most of our students do live off campus when they're transfers. And something I forgot to mention earlier that I want to make sure you all know about, our office does have an attorney. His name is Bruce. And you can meet with him for free as a CU student, or if you're admitted, you can also meet with him, and he can go over your lease with you for free. So that's included in your student fees, and that's a great resource if you've never signed an off-campus lease before, because even if you've signed a lease before, the lease laws here in the state of Colorado can be different sometimes than other places you may have lived previously. And so to protect yourself and your investment, I would always encourage you to get that lease review, or if you ever have any challenges down the line as a tenant, you can meet with him for anything related to that. And he's a great resource. And you can set up an appointment with him on Tuesdays and Fridays just by calling our office or sending us an email.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So Abby, we have a lot of student perspective questions coming up. The next one we have for you is, what is the biggest obstacle a transfer student may have at Cu-Boulder, and how do they overcome it?
I think a lot of transfer students have a hard time making friends, and that sort of seems like the scariest part of transferring, because it feels like a freshman year everyone makes their friends and then they have their group, and you sort of feel like you're coming into that not having made those friendships. But I think the best way to sort of mitigate that is really to just go to things. Like, put yourself out there, talk to the person next to you in your class, go to the welcome fest, that sort of thing. Yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Wonderful. So one more question for you. What's the best way to get connected on campus?
There's lots of ways to get connected. Join a club, join a study group, talk to people in your classes, and just, sort of like put yourself out there, study on campus, that sort of thing.
Nice, thank you. And so we are finishing up this list of the ones that you all just submitted, and then we'll go to the second list of what you just submitted. So the last one right now is, when should I expect a decision if I applied before the scholarship deadline? And this is for you, Hala.
Again, you will get a decision within 4 to 6 weeks after you complete your application.
Thank you so much. And then I'm going to sneak over this next list that y'all been submitting currently and that you're putting up on there. And we're just going to go through a couple of these and get these answered as well. So the question is, I already registered for on-campus housing and FAFSA and other documents and want to live on campus. How will that change work? And so would that be best for you, Bella?
You want to live...
So they applied for on-campus housing, but now they want to live off campus.
Okay. So you need to contact our office, again, studenthousing@colorado.edu, and let us know that you will be canceling your application. We do have a $300 deposit that you paid at the time that you applied for housing. Luckily, that's refundable if you cancel with our office by May 15th and you are an upper class student. If you're a first-year transfer student, that situation is going to be a little bit different because we do have a live-on requirement. So the best idea would be to just contact our office and we can work through that with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So the next question we have is, we applied to scholarships offered on your site. When will I know if I received those scholarships?
So if you did the Cu-Boulder scholarship application, we are going to try and get notifications out in April if you turned it in either by February 15th or this March 6th deadline coming up. But since we do keep it open until June 15th, we will have rolling decisions going out over the summer as well.
Thank you. I think this next one's going to be for financial aid as well. Are we able to receive financial help for off-campus housing?
So usually it gets complicated, but usually we do consider off-campus living as part of your budget. So usually when we package students, you have a cost of attendance, and that is your budget. We do get notified, such as a question on FAFSA. It will ask you, are you planning on living on campus or off campus? That helps our office determine what budget should we use. So simply answering the question, it is possible to use financial aid to cover that cost. Usually for students, it's usually with loans.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Thank you. So next question we have is, I'm a transfer student and want to live in Bear Creek. How can I find a roommate or roommates? And it's probably something we've similarly answered previously, but if you want to touch on it again for the students who may just be joining.
Yeah, so it also depends what you put down in your Bear Creek application for your preferences. So again, I'm sorry that I keep handing you off, but I would definitely reach out to the Bear Creek Apartments. Their office can help you determine if and when you can select a roommate of your own.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm going to actually go back to Jeremy real quick, said a similar question of what's the best way to find a roommate. So I don't know if you want to mention Ralphie's list again.
Yes. So the roommates tab on Ralphie's list, which again is ralphieslist.colorado.edu, and that's Ralphie's list, all one word together with an S in the middle. And you can go on there, and under the roommates tab, you can actually search for folks, and usually it has a profile picture. You have to actually create a profile in order to search for profiles, but usually folks have a picture, interests, what year they are, what if they're looking for housing, or if they have housing. And I'll just reiterate too, a tip that I would share, a pro tip, would be if you're looking for housing, maybe start and see if there's someone who already has housing and you can slot into, like if they have a 4-bedroom apartment, you might be able to slot into one of the open spaces in that apartment. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So another question that we got, and I know we've said it a couple times, but I think it's something that's really important to a lot of students. If a student's going to be out of state their first year and they're wanting to get in-state, what office should they contact to get that in-state residency?
You should definitely contact the registrar's office because they have procedures and things you have to do to get that residency, but they would be the best contact. Their email address is tuwitclass@colorado.edu.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the next question we have is, if my application is submitted by March 15th, when should I expect to receive a decision? So I'm going to send that one back to you, Hala.
I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that, please?
Definitely. So if my application is submitted by March 15th for that early notification deadline,
Yes.
when should I expect to hear back?
So you'll hear back within 4 to 6 weeks after we've received everything.
Wonderful. So this next question, I'm not sure any of us have the answer to, but does CU have an archery program or fencing?
Pretty sure there's a club.
There's a club?
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
sure
there's
there's a club.
Yeah.
If not, you could start
You
one.
can start one.
True.
Yeah.
Definitely. You could start the club, which is always great. Is it possible to talk certain terms off of school to work elsewhere for a season? I think this one, I'm not sure if any of us have that answered. Would you know?
Student employment.
Yeah.
So just like Abby was speaking, you do have your MyCU info. You'll receive it once you get admitted. There is a little section where you can look at jobs. Not only work-study jobs, but there are off-campus jobs that you can definitely just look around. Anyone who contacts us, or student employment, I should say, will post their job description on there. So definitely you can do that.
Perfect. Thank you. And I think, and part of that too is if you're taking terms off, correct me if I'm wrong, you can take up to 3 terms off before you have to reapply. So you can take terms off to be in those jobs that you find, utilizing that resource too, if you're interested or what looking to. So next question. For student housing, are payments due monthly or at the beginning of the semester? Are you locked into that apartment or room for a certain amount of time, or can you move out at any point?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for the residence halls and Bear Creek apartments, you actually sign a contract for the academic year. So you're locked into housing for the terms and conditions of that contract, which is generally speaking from August until May. You can have the opportunity to move within different halls or within the same hall to different room types if you'd like. So we do have a wait list that we work through actually all academic year long, and so our office is moving students just continuously as the year goes on. And then for the residence halls, there are a few different opportunities for you to change your assignment before you actually move on campus. So there's a couple different housing change processes that we have, and again, take a look at that timeline online and it will outline when those processes occur.
And I would answer, too, that most of our leases in the city of Boulder are going to be 9 months or 12 months. And so if you are thinking about, say, for example, going to study abroad, that is another reason why on-campus housing might be a great option, because they offer sometimes more flexible contract lengths, I guess I would say, than some of our off-campus properties, because most of those are going to be 12 months.
All right, so our last question was pertaining to contract length in the residence halls and Bear Creek apartments. You are actually locked into the entire contract that you sign with us, which is generally speaking for the entire academic year. So starting in August and finishing up in May. We also do have summer housing available on campus. And we were mentioning if you study abroad through the university, you are actually exempt from the rest of your contract. So for instance, if you're studying abroad in spring and you want to live on campus in the fall, you would be released from your contract at the time that you study abroad, which is very unique in the city of Boulder.
It is, and most of the city of Boulder housing options, or even in the general Denver metropolitan area, are going to be 9 or 12 months lease, but most of the time they're going to be 12-month lease cycles. So keep that in mind when you're looking for housing. Sometimes folks aren't here in Boulder over the summer, so if you decide to sublet for those 3 months when you're not here, we can also provide assistance in that. Students can post their sublets for free in our rental database, Ralphie's List.
Wonderful. So I'm going to send it back to Bella for one more quick question about housing. If I do not decide to enroll until May, will there still be availability in Bear Creek?
That just depends on their space availability at the time that you apply for housing. Unfortunately, I can't really look into the future to see if there will be any spaces available in May. However, you can certainly apply because they receive cancellations throughout the entire year. So even if they're initially full on the date that you apply for housing in Bear Creek, there may be a cancellation maybe the next day or within the next month that would allow you a space in the apartments. So definitely apply, and you can always contact their office to see what the eligibility and what the spaces look like.
Wonderful, thank you. As a quick side note is that as well, if you're an incoming transfer student looking to live at Bear Creek, if you're calling Bear Creek, make sure to say you're an incoming transfer student. So that way they know that it's going to be your first semester that you're coming onto the campus of the university. So the next question that we have is, how veteran-friendly is CU? I know you briefly mentioned some veterans, so I'm going to send it back to you, Jeremy, for that question.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the topic, but certainly I would encourage folks to connect with our staff here on campus and our Veteran and Military Affairs office. They have some great staff, some great resources, and particularly they've just opened a new office here in the case building where we're at right now, and they've got some great study assistants and some dedicated folks. I believe they even have like a writing coordinator there now, and so it's a really great program and basically a way to get connected for students that are coming to CU that are student veterans. And there's also that Student Veterans Association I mentioned earlier, so they have a Facebook group, and then also I think they have some information on their website. And I believe their website is colorado.edu/veterans. I think that will take you to their main page. But if that's not correct, certainly go to the CU website and just type in veterans, and it'll come up with their website. But they've got some great resources.
Cool. Thank you so much. And then if you are a veteran student and interested in coming into the university and you have general admission questions, please feel free to reach out to me as well. I work with our veteran students here at the University of Colorado Boulder. Again, my name is Jennifer Long. You can find me, or you can talk to your regular admission counselor, and if they have any questions that they can't answer for you on the admission side, they'll refer to me as well. So please feel free to ask any of those questions. And so the next one that we have, I'm going to send over to Hala. do we have international or scholarships for international students?
Yeah, so when students apply, transfer students specifically, we have the Transfer Excellence Scholarship that students are automatically considered for. And if you meet the requirement, you most likely will get it, which is a 3.75 GPA with at least 12 credit hours. And it's normally $6,000 for non-residents.
Perfect. So the next question I have is going to be for you as well. I'm only enrolled part-time at a community college. Am I still considered a transfer student?
It depends. So if you have already completed your high school and you've received your diploma and then you're taking college courses, then you would apply as a transfer. But if you are doing kind of like dual credit, you still haven't received your high school diploma and you are taking classes, you would apply as a freshman.
Perfect. So that's all of the questions I have right now. We are writing them down as they're coming along. Do we have any additional ones? Perfect. So I think we're coming to about time right now. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of our offices. You definitely can. If you don't know which office to reach out to, but you have any general questions, please feel free to reach out to transfer@colorado.edu, and we will make sure to get you to the right office or department to answer those questions if we don't have the information ourselves. But thank you all for joining our live chat today. Thank you to all the different offices for joining us for this live chat, and we look forward to seeing you here at CU Boulder. Go Buffs!
Go Buffs!